News, views and tunes for the Norwich community. We are Future Radio.
16 minutes now past 11 o'clock this Wednesday morning, and a UEA student who creates designer glasses and sunglasses from fishing nets rescued from the ocean has received the backing and financial investment from TV personality Jake Humphrey. Together they have launched products which are available for pre-order via Kickstarter from today, actually yesterday, 30th of June, so it's yesterday. Entrepreneur, philanthropist and TV personality Jake has got behind George Bailey's business. It's called Coral Eyewear, and he was inspired by the ambition of George, who's 20 years old, PPE student at UEA, and they've got loads of offers on starting up. It's made out of ocean plastic and fabric from landfill. What's not to like? Second time I've said that, used that phrase today. Going to have to cut down on that. They're both on the line now to tell us more about it. So George and Jake, hello, welcome.
Good morning.
Morning, Mike.
Hi. I was able to see one of you a moment ago, but that's disappeared now. Bit weird because I could see you and you couldn't see me. Anyway, welcome. Oh, yeah, that's Jake. Hi, Jake. You're waving. I'm
Hello,
waving
mate.
back.
I'm out in the garden. I'm sitting, enjoying a cloudy sky just south of Norwich.
I can see there's a bit of sun and I can see some grass.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very nice. Very, very nice.
Works all right. Not great for radio, probably.
No, it works all right for me, but that's not the point. Hi, welcome along, both of you. Let's start off. First of all, I've given a bit of a background. Jake, what was it that captured your attention about this?
There was two things, really. One of the things that has always sort of stuck with me, Mike, is that I've been given opportunities throughout my career, often when I didn't necessarily feel that I should get them. So I failed my A-levels at the Hewitt School in Norwich, yet someone still took a chance on me and gave me some work experience. And then when I was doing a little bit of work at Rapture TV, another person took a really big chance on me and gave me a job on Kids Telly, and then another big opportunity to go from Kids Telly to sport. And I always felt to myself, if ever I meet someone who I can pay this forwards to, then I will do just that. So about a year ago, I set up a scholarship scheme at the UEA, which was designed to fund media students who basically couldn't afford to go to university and would love to go, deserve to go, but can't afford to go. And it was through the UEA that I met George. And George has the most amazing charisma and energy and drive and belief in doing his bit for the environment, and also believing that Coral Eyewear is the solution. So George came to me and said, look, there's loads of waste fishing nets in the sea, 600,000 tonnes around the world, killing marine life. There's loads of plastic in landfill. Yet at the same time, millions of people every year are buying sunglasses made from fresh, new, virgin plastic, which is only adding to the damage in the environment. Why don't we take the plastic out of the sea and the landfill and turn that into beautiful designer artisan sunglasses? And I'll be totally honest, I thought to myself, great idea, it's so great, it's so simple, it's so obvious, everyone's already doing it. So I went online and I had a look at the big sunglasses brands. I could see nothing on hardly any of their websites about genuine sustainability. And then when I was in London, I went to a load of opticians and sunglasses shops and eyewear stores, and I just went in, and each one I said, I'd love to see your green range, your sustainable range, your planet-friendly range. Not a single one had a single frame to show me. And then I was on the phone to George, and that's when I said, listen, this needs to happen. And with his energy and his belief and a little bit of help from me, the launch on Kickstarter yesterday was incredible. People already getting involved and buying eyewear from us.
Yeah, it sounds like the way you explain it, like an absolute no-brainer, and it's amazing. Like all the best ideas, when you hear them, they're obvious, and you think, why was no one doing that before? And I like also the bit of this story. I like also is you're giving opportunities to somebody else who wouldn't otherwise have had them, just as you got them yourself. So you're putting back. And I didn't know you had that scholarship. That's fantastic. So George isn't the only person who's going to benefit. There'll be others who will in the future. So George, can you hear me?
Good morning.
Hi, George. Welcome. You've had a big build up there. No pressure. So, how did you come about this idea? As I say, it's one of those things. When you hear it, it's just blindingly obvious. But no one else had it apart from you. How did that come about?
Yeah, so as Jake mentioned, I'm a second-year student at UEA, and they've got a really brilliant course there called Environmental Philosophy. And essentially that's sort of looking at ways we can help the environment through different means. And we go through loads of different practical routes, from sort of writing to your MP to running a social media page. And one of the things that came up was the possibility of running your own business with a sort of ethical and environmental background. So that's where sort of my inspiration came from, that I wanted to make an impact with a real sort of practical product that people could really get involved in, get behind, and sort of wear day to day as a statement for the environment. And my family background's in eyewear, so my parents have sort of worked in opticians for a number of years, and really I think it was just sort of an idea that came just by looking in the stores, like Jake said, and seeing the amount of plastic that was on the shelves, and then sort of coupling that with the thousands and thousands of tons of fishing nets in the oceans. And just after a bit of research of sort of sustainable materials, I think we came up with a solution quite quickly, which seemed to work.
Yeah. Now, just as an aside, you're doing PPE at UEA. That doesn't sound like PPE as I would recognise it. There's an environmental philosophical side to it, and is that an example of UEA again being leading edge and ahead of the curve?
Yeah, for sure. It's really about diversifying that curriculum beyond sort of the historical idea of philosophy and bringing it into sort of the 21st century, really, and making it practical so that students can go out after getting the degree and actually make an impact in the world.
And is environmental improvement something that's been a passion of yours through your life? Is it something that motivates you?
Yeah, I think you can sort of sense that with my generation as a whole, really. I think, the conversation is really building. Like with a lot of other issues, I think, we've seen the amount of young people out for the Black Lives Matter protests over the last couple of weeks. I think my generation are really sort of leading the way on that charge.
And what has it meant to you to get the support from Jake?
Yeah, it's been absolutely brilliant. I think sort of meeting Jake at the back end of last year, he's really sort of worked with us, and you can see his passion for it as well, which is really nice to see. It's really great to be working with someone who sort of really believes in the idea and believes in the impact that we can make.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the range, because, with recycled plastic, presumably you can do just about anything with it, anything that you can do with brand new plastic, presumably?
Yeah, I think it's sort of a bit of an odd perception that people have, really, that just because a product's recycled, they think potentially it's limited. But in terms of colours, we can eventually offer any colour on the sort of Pantone spectrum, so we're not limited there. We're launching on Kickstarter with red and black to start with in 2 different designs, but we're looking to sort of build that up over the next year. And they come in, so normal glasses and sunglasses, and we can also offer prescription lenses as well. So we've sort of got the full range.
And obviously there'll be some people who will want to buy these because they are effectively recycled. But obviously, as you expand the business, presumably you are going to have to expand the range of styles that are available to attract more customers. I have to say, I wear glasses, and when I go into the optician, I'm stunned by the range. In fact, there's almost too much choice, and you end up sort of looking at really similar glasses and trying them on and trying to decide which is the right one. Are you going to end up in that sort of market, do you think?
Yeah, I think one of the discussions that we had with Jake right at the start of this process really was that to make an impact as a sustainable brand, you also need to get the style right. So design is something that we've really focused on. After sort of initially coming up with the sustainable materials, then we really sort of went back to the drawing board and said, well, look, how do we get the feel right, the comfort right? How do we get shapes that people really like? So we've gone for really commercial styles that we know people will enjoy, rather than sort of a press piece that might get us into a glossy magazine, but is not necessarily going to be something that people actually wear. And it's all about practicality for us.
And it's also, I guess, something people will be proud to wear the brand because of what it is. I mean, presumably that's a unique selling point for you. People, I can imagine myself wearing Coral eyewear with pride and having the logo there and saying to people, I'm wearing recycled eyewear.
Yeah, I think it's definitely got the potential to be sort of a real visible statement for change and sort of statement for the environment. And that's ultimately what we want to create. And the Kickstarter campaign that we launched yesterday was really sort of tying into that, to try and build in that community feel, bring people on early and sort of really get involved in the business. We're really happy to take messages on social media, and it's all about building that sense of community for us.
How are you balancing the business with your degree studies? It's a difficult balancing act, I imagine.
Yeah, there's been some long nights over the last couple of months while sort of exams have been going on online. But again, the UEA have pioneered a really brilliant scheme through the School of Economics, which is called a Year in Enterprise. So it's essentially a bit of a tie-in with the Year in Industry, where students go and work for sort of big corporate banks and other sort of organisations. But they've actually taken that idea and brought it on to me with the Year in Enterprise. So I can actually spend the whole year working on Coral Eyewear and trying to grow the business that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to go back a little bit to the fishing nets, because it's a big issue for many people, seeing sea life which has got entangled in fishing nets, and we only see the tip of the iceberg. They cause an awful lot of damage. So as time goes on, presumably, I don't know anything about how you retrieve fishing nets from the ocean. Do you have to go and dredge them up? And over time, is that going to become part of your business, the fact that you will be actively investing and going out there and cleaning up the ocean to get your raw material?
Yeah, so at the moment they're sort of dredged from coastlines and other sort of areas like that. But it's definitely something we're looking at. We're looking to partner with a couple of organisations over the next year who are sort of actively taking plastic out, because ultimately what we want to do is really sort of turn off the plastic tap. You know, it's great to come up with a product, but ultimately we need to sort of look at the end of life of the product as well. So we're actually putting in a product recycling scheme. And I think this is really what makes the business unique in the UK, is that once people have finished with their frames, say a couple of years down the line, they can actually send them back to us and we'll put it back into our recycling scheme. Because what we didn't want to do was take nets and plastic out of the ocean and landfill. People wear it for a year or two, and then what happens? It ends up in exactly the same place. So that was really important for us, that we made it sort of a true circular economy solution.
So there's a Kickstarter campaign. Presumably people can support you?
They can indeed. Yeah, they can go to www.coraleyewear.com and there's a link there that will take them straight through to the Kickstarter.
Brilliant. Just going back to you, Jake. Are you going to be involved in promoting the brand? Are you going to be sort of fronting it up in any way, having done so much so far?
Yeah, I don't know really. We haven't sort of discussed that, and I think we probably will at some point. But I'm happy to be as visible as possible. I think one of the frustrations for me, and I see this particularly on social media at the moment, it kind of feels like anyone in my position with a bit of profile is happy to advertise any brand at any time and sort of fill their social media with sort of paid for adverts. And it's not the sort of thing that appeals to me, really. I always wanted to get involved in genuine projects. So aside from my TV presenting a few years ago, I set up a production company called Whisper, and we now produce loads of TV content. And this is the sort of next thing, really, for me, where I want this to be a long-term partnership. This isn't kind of, I'll help them out for a couple of months and I'll move on to my own thing. You know, I'm an investor in the business, so it makes sense for me to do everything I can, because it's really not a sort of a financial decision. It is very much a sort of moral decision, and this is absolutely right there with my values, that we all need to be doing more. And I kind of echo George's thoughts that in a few years' time, I want people to look at wearing non-recycled eyewear in the same way that we look at carrying a new carrier bag now. You know, you just sort of don't do it because it's kind of slightly taboo. And honestly, I've worn the Coral Eyewear. I've got a pair that I've been using to show people. And when I go to work, I was at BT at the weekend, and I said to Rio Ferdinand, I said, hey, take a look at these. What do you think? He goes, yeah, nice. I said, well, there used to be fishing nets in the sea and old discarded plastic in landfill. And at that moment, he was like, wow, what a story. So it's the kind of thing, and the reaction we've seen so far, it's the kind of thing that people totally understand. And exactly the same way that you said, it's so simple. Why is everyone not doing it? I hope that everyone has that reaction and thinks to themselves, right, you know, it might be that I can buy a slightly cheaper pair of sunglasses elsewhere, but I might spend a little bit more money because I'm not sure you can put a price on trying to save the environment.
No, you can't. Absolutely, completely agree. So have you got any, is this your first, Jake, your first investment in a young entrepreneur? Have you got any more in the pipeline? Yeah,
this is my first one. None in the pipeline at the moment, no. I think to be honest, I'm learning a lot as well. You know, the production company I set up was pretty simple for me because it's an industry I know really well. Fashion and eyewear and retail is a whole new world to me. And so as much as George is learning as a 19, 20-year-old university student and entrepreneur, I'm learning as well, really, as a 41-year-old investor. You know, we're kind of going through this process together. And actually, that's part of the thrill for me, is that we are all learning as we go. We're sort of surprising ourselves, and it's brilliant. And I'm so pleased to be sharing the journey with him and the rest of the team at Coral.
I can absolutely see, having spoken to him for a few minutes while you've invested in George.
Yeah, great.
completely get that. Jake, thank you very much for that. And George, you're inspiring, absolutely inspiring, and really wish you well with that. Do you want to give a plug again to your website address for people for the crowdfunding?
Yeah, so it's www.coraleyewear.com.
And
Thank
is that
you
the
so
same?
much for having us on this morning, Mike.
You're welcome. Is that the same place people go to if they want to buy a pair?
That's correct. Yeah, there's a link there. They can click straight through to the Kickstarter campaign.
Well, I'm going to go and have a look. So you've inspired me anyway. Well, congratulations. Wish you well with it, with the launch. And thank you both, Jake and George, for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Have a great day.
And you. Thank you.